The list of required documents to become an ESL teacher in China is long. Criminal background check, not older than 6 months. 4-year college degree. 2 years ESL teaching letter and teacher certification. Then the medical check, an updated CV, your passport ID page, an updated photo, embassy address, and finally scans of former Chinese work visas and contact of previous Chinese employers if you have them. Oh, and the first 3 I mentioned, with the exception of the 2 years of teaching proof, must be notarized, authenticated, and consular legalized, all before sending them to China to get started. Whew, I'm tired already. Welcome. Kristin here, and today I am looking at the required paperwork needed to even start the process of receiving a Chinese work visa as an ESL teacher. My goal for this year is to reach as many language learners as possible. Can you help me? I'd appreciate your support with likes, comments, and mostly subscribing to my channel. This way, more people will get to find my content once the YouTube algorithm gets working. Please hit the bell to be notified for new videos on Thursday. Now, let's start going through those required documents. I have gone through this tedious process twice. Once in 2013 for a 2014 February start, and then again in the fall of 2019 for a January 2020 start. That one did not happen due to the pandemic, which halted all visa applications. I can only talk about the process in the United States. I don't know all the places in other countries where these documents may be found and how the approvals may take place. If you ever decide to try going through this process, please keep in close contact with your visa specialist and ask them any questions. That's their job. Stay with me to the end to hear some tips that can save you time and money in this long and sometimes expensive process. And have you ever gone through the visa process? The criminal background check, or BCI, in my state of Rhode Island, can be applied for at the Attorney General's office. This document cannot be older than 6 months old. The entire process took me 5 minutes from start to finish. Walk in, complete a very short form, get in line, show your license or ID, and a minute later, you have your document, as long as you don't have a criminal record. Important tip. Make sure to ask for the criminal background check with the signature of the Attorney General for your state on it. I know this firsthand because I received the basic one the first time and had to return to the Attorney General's office to get the correct one. Now, that's fine to do in the state of Rhode Island, which is tiny. But if you are driving to the state capitol to get the documents, make sure to get the right one from the start. Save yourself some time and money. The cost for this was $5. I hope you already have a copy of your college degree, but if not, you can request one online from the school. That cost may vary. I did have a copy at home, and you want to make sure it is an official copy of the degree. The next document is your teaching certification. For me, this was my TEFL certificate and my CELTA certificate. Those must be official documents also. The next step is to take the criminal background check, the college degree, and the teaching experience to the Secretary of State's office to get them notarized and authenticated. This process also took just 10 minutes, and the cost was $5 per document. Make sure to tell them the documents are required for a teaching position in China. They know what is required for Chinese documentation. They will make official copies and then stamp them with the notarization after authenticating them. Once again, this was a quick trip for me since the Secretary of State's office is about 15 minutes from my home. Now, many people do not live close to these government offices, and it can be costly to even get there. You can also use a visa processing service to have everything done for you. The costs may vary by company, but the range is generally about $100 to $175 per document. This includes all of the steps I completed in my home state and the next important required step of consular legalization, sometimes called the apostille. I do not live near the Chinese embassy, so I completed the first two steps myself and then mailed the 3 documents to a visa processing company in Washington, D.C. to bring to the Chinese embassy. Once the necessary stamps, approvals, and checks were done, they were overnight mailed back to me to allow me to move on to the next step in this lengthy process. Have you ever used a visa processing company to help with your paperwork? Please let me know which one if you did. I found Monument Visa services very helpful and easy to contact with any questions. And I had lots of questions. I'll include a link to their website in the description box below. This is not a sponsored link. I just enjoyed working with them and have experience with them, and I think you will enjoy their service too. Once all of those vitally important documents have been received from the embassy, now it's time to send them to the hiring school in China. In addition to these documents, you must also send the updated CV, current photo, which must follow their stated strict guidelines, the medical check done in your home country, a copy of the main page in your passport, along with scans of any previous Chinese visas or employer's details. If anything is missing, your contact at the school should let you know right away. They will then take those documents to apply for a foreigner's work permit notice in China. Once they get that, it will be sent to you to then go to the Chinese embassy closest to your home and apply for the Z visa. This legally allows you to work in China. I traveled to New York City to get this process done. The embassy no longer offered expedited services in 2014, so I stayed overnight in New York City and picked up my officially stamped passport in the morning and headed back home. Now it is safe to make your flight arrangements and head overseas to your new teaching adventure. There are more documents and stamps required once you arrive in China, but I will cover them in part 2. Now, let me go over some important tips. Most Chinese schools require a 4-year teaching degree in any subject. If it is in English or ESL, then you can probably negotiate for a higher salary. Ask. The worst they can say is no. Some top-tier cities in China require 2 years proof of teaching ESL classes. This is not required for all schools in all cities, but it will generally get you higher paid positions in the larger cities. Your passport must have a minimum of 18 months left before it expires. If you are even close to expiration, I recommend renewing stateside before you begin this process. If you do renew, make sure to check the box for the large passport book with more pages for stamps and visas. The cost is exactly the same, so make room for that traveling you want to do. Anytime you leave mainland China, even to go to Hong Kong, it is a passport stamp out and a passport stamp in, and they can add up quickly. Make sure to work with a government-approved school. They are authorized by the Chinese government to issue the required visas to legally work in China. Do not go on a tourist visa and think you can get a work visa. That is difficult, illegal, and can lead to jail time or deportation if you are caught. I don't think anybody wants to be in a foreign jail cell. Lastly, do not pay any recruiter to help you find a position. They are compensated by the schools once you are hired. There are many recruiters that will tell you grandiose stories to get you to sign documents. Sort of like a used car salesman trying to get you to buy while you're all excited about the shiny new object. Make sure to research the school and look online to find out if they're legitimate or not. It is worth your time to do so. Having said this, the first time I went to China, I worked with a recruiting agency called Gold Star Teachers, and they were fantastic. There are great recruiters out there too, So take your time to decide on which one to work with. I sincerely hope you enjoy your teaching adventure overseas as much as I did. I'm not sure if I'll ever get back to teach in China, but it was an experience of a lifetime, and I still have friends from my time there. If you're interested in seeing these steps laid out before you, please click the link below for the infographic I created about the visa process for teaching in China. I hope it helps. Thanks for listening, and I hope all your document processing goes smoothly. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 of the Chinese documents required once you land in China. Never stop learning. See you next week.